right, today we are going to begin painting the clay pieces that you made for your tic-tac-toe board game. So before we do that, we need to set up a few things the first day. Every student is going to get a styrofoam plate. This is going to be your paint palette to put your paint on. So what you're going to do is turn your plate over, and using soft hand pressure, you're going to write your first and last name on the back of that plate so we know it belongs to you. We do not throw these plates away at the end of class. We keep these plates with our clay project, and we just set the plate on top to store it. We don't throw these away. We can use them again and again. Then each student is going to get a piece of paper towel and a messy mat. So the messy mat is just a big plastic piece of paper that's meant to catch paint that goes off your project to keep our tables cleaner. And then as a group, you're going to share a tray of paint supplies. So on the tray, you're going to see there's a variety of paint brushes, and then there's this egg carton full of paint. So at the start of class, you're going to open up the egg carton. You'll see there's 12 colors of paint in here available to you. Every color has a popsicle stick inside of it, and that's what we use to put the paint onto our plate. Then you'll also see that you have a cup of gold and you have a cup of silver that you can take these lids off of. And then there should be a gold and silver popsicle stick somewhere on your tray that you can set those inside those paint colors. Do not throw these lids away. We use them at the end of class. So the first thing you have to decide is, what are you going to do to paint your clay pieces? Remember, the idea is that you've got two separate styles of clay pieces so that when you play your tic-tac-toe game, you know which piece belongs to which team member. So you want to think about how you're going to begin painting these clay pieces. You want to start with kind of the background color first to begin with. So when I painted these, I started out by painting the mushroom top red, and I painted every single mushroom that red to begin with. And then I painted the gnome hat the green color, and I painted every one green until I was done using the green. Sometimes you have to wait for things to dry before you can then do the next step. So I needed to wait for this red to be dry before I could do the white dot. So while the red was drying, I was working on the gnome piece. And then when the hat was drying, I went back to this one and I painted the stem of the mushroom, and then when that was drying, I went back and painted the beard. And I kind of worked back and forth between my two pieces of clay so that the paint had time to dry and it wouldn't be mixing while I was painting with it. So you are welcome to look at your rough draft design in your sketchbook to decide what paint colors you want to work with and how you want to do this. You are also welcome to lightly draw out guidelines on your clay pieces, or you can just get your paint brushes and your paints and just go for it. So when you start to paint, again, I would only work with one paint color at a time that you know that's going to be used on 5 game pieces. So when you are deciding your paint colors, you want to determine, do you want to use the paint exactly from the tray, or do you want to change the paint color? On your messy mat is kind of a color mixing chart to show you how you can take red and yellow and make orange if you want to make your own version of orange. This chart is showing you how you can make monochromatic or tints and shades of different colors by adding white or black. Okay, so for my example, if you sculpted something that didn't have a whole lot of detail to the sculpture, like it's just a solid shape, I'm going to challenge you to paint this in a more interesting way than just painting it one solid color to push your effort and creativity. So I think I'm going to paint mine to represent our mascot. So these are going to have little paw prints on top of them, and I want to have 2 separate team colors. So maybe I paint one set dark purple with a white paw print, and maybe I paint another set silver with a purple paw print. So to begin with, if I know that I'm going to do purple in the background, I'm going to take my plate and I'm going to get the popsicle stick from purple, and I'm going to scoop a small amount of purple onto my plate. These are small pieces of clay. You don't need a lot of paint. Then if I want to change this color, like say I want to make it a little bit lighter, I know that I need to add white to lighten my paint. So I'm going to scoop out white, and I'm going to put white next to the color on the plate so that the popsicle stick stays clean and doesn't get contaminated. And then the white stick goes right back in the white paint. This paint in these egg cartons should not be getting mixed up with other colors. Then what you're going to do is take a paintbrush and you're going to hold it from the back end of the paintbrush to do the mixing. The fastest way to change a paint color is to put small amounts of the dark color into the light color, because you can always add more to darken it. So I'm going to scoop up some purple, and I'm going to mix that in to my white to make more of a lavender color. If I wanted this, and then I've got, my paper towel that I can use to wipe off the end of my paintbrush. Make sure you wipe off your brush so there's no wet paint on it, because what happens is kids start painting with the brush, they lean forward, and then the end of their paintbrush gets paint on their shirt. Also, I forgot to mention, we're using acrylic paint. Acrylic paint does not wash out of your clothes easily. If you want to wear an apron, those are hanging back by sink number 2. I would roll up long sleeves just to make sure they're not dragging in the paint. Okay, if I wanted to darken this color, I would get the black paint. I would put a little bit of black on my plate and put the black stick back. And then if I'm going to darken this, I would put dark into the light. So I would get a little bit of the dark and mix it into the light until it's the color that I want it to be. Then I'm going to clean off the end of my paintbrush. Now, the other thing that you can do is use gold and silver as is, or to change your paint color. So if I want my purple to become metallic, I can add silver into my purple paint. So I'm going to scoop up some silver and put that on my plate. If you have a cool color, like a blue, a green, a violet, silver is what you're going to want to mix into it to make it metallic. If you have a warm color, the reds, the pinks, the oranges, the yellows, you're going to want to mix gold into that base to make it metallic. So same concept applies. I'm going to scoop up the darker color, and I'm going to mix it into the lighter color. And then I can keep adding dark into this until it becomes as dark as I want it to be. So that is how you make any color become metallic. Then always clean off the end of your brush. Okay, so now that I've got my first color mixed, I'm ready to start painting my piece. I can paint with it sitting on top of the tin foil, or I can paint with it sitting on top of the tray. I would not put your pieces on your messy mat, because at the end of class when we clean up, you're going to have to pick up a wet clay piece and stick it in your tray. It is much easier just to paint on the tray, so at the end of class you can just pick this up and not have to touch the wet paint. But you also might find it's easier to hold this as you're working, or even one individual piece. Remember, we do not on purpose paint our skin, but you might end up getting paint on your fingers as you work, and that's fine if it's an accident, but we do not paint our skin on purpose. And I'm going to focus on the front of my clay piece to begin with. I'm not going to worry about the back side just yet. I'm focusing on the front side. Some colors are going to need more than one coat of paint. If the color is going on really thin and light, you might let that dry while you start your next pieces and then come back and put a second coat of paint on top of it. So that's what this one is going to need. When I grade your project, I'm looking at craftsmanship. How neat were you with your painting? Does your painting look nice and solid and smooth, or does it look sloppy and messy? Also, you want to choose an appropriate size paintbrush for the area you're painting. So I've got a variety of sizes of brushes that you can be working with. If you're doing small areas, then work with a small little detail brush so that your design stays precise. So when I need to clean my paintbrush, you all are sharing a water bowl that has a sponge on one side and water on the other side. When you need to clean your brush between colors, you're going to wipe your brush on the sponge first. So the sponge is going to soak up most of your color. Then you can rinse it in the empty water. And then if you need to, you can dry your brush if your brush is too wet. So I'm going to continue to paint my 5 pieces the same purple color, and then I'm going to switch over to painting my next pieces silver as the background. And then when those layers are dried, then I'm going to be using small detail brushes to paint the paw print on the front side. That's going to show contrast so that my design is easy to see. So again, at the end of the period, your clay projects need to be inside this cardboard tray. These go back on your wooden boards that were designated by table. You need to clean all of your paint brushes. Wipe them on the sponge, rinse them off, and then your paint brushes lay on one side of the lid. You're going to leave all the popsicle sticks inside the egg carton, but you're going to shut the lid so the paint's not drying. Then you're going to take out the gold stick and set it on the tray, the silver stick. Don't let them touch or they get stuck together. Also, these sticks should not be touching the paintbrushes because then they're getting gold and silver on your paintbrushes. Then please put the lids back on gold and silver. I will come around and collect your paint trays and your water bowls. You need to keep your plate on top of your project. That's not going to hurt anything to have it sitting on top. And then these go on the wooden boards, and one person from each group can go put your board on your assigned shelf. I will then dismiss you by tables to wash hands and get ready for dismissal.